everyone, welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. I am your host on this glorious podcast. Thank you for stopping by and checking us out. Our little slice of podcast goodness on the wonderful interwebs. If you're new here, thank you very much for checking us out. Always great to have new listeners or viewers. And if you are a regular, thank you for your continued support. We really do appreciate it. Please go to Patreon and sign up. I digress. It's, where are we? Well, we're in June now. This is crazy. And heading towards shortest day of the year. Not only that, we'll be damn close, if not having just passed or just on our 1 year anniversary, which is crazy to think about. 1 year since we started the Northland Artists Conversation. We released our first introduction video on the 1st of May 2022, and then we released our first actual interview with Aki Fukuoka towards the end of June, so sort of around that, I guess around that sort of between the 20th and the end of the month. So yeah, so tell you what, switch to my camera. Let's talk about today's guest. This is super cool. Hemi Ruka. Now, Hemi was a very, very interesting cat. I'd met him once before through both of us through our former jobs. And he was a super cool guy. Deep depth of knowledge and just such a wonderful person. And when he sort of turned up to do the before we sit down in the studio, we sort of have a bit of a corridor beforehand, and if there's any questions, the guests get to ask them, and I sort of give everyone a bit of a run through. It was like, holy shit, I know this guy, and he was like, yeah, I remember you too, and we just kind of got talking, and it was really cool. Hemi kind of brought a really different sort of vibe to the podcast this time as a guest. Very analytical in some ways. Man, I tell you what, 15 years on and off. Anyway, tell you what, I'm not going to reveal too much. You guys get to hear and see it for yourself. Let's sit down and have a conversation with Hemi Ruka. This isn't the podcast of Mark Kelly.
Who's Mark Kelly?
That's me. You're not going to sit here and interview me. We at some point though, we are planning on me interviewing myself. So I will sit here with questions, and then we'll do a second take where I'm in the chair answering them as well.
I like that.
We've been trying to work out, we've got a rough idea how to do it, and then it's just about finding out, actually finding time to do it, which would be wicked as. So, it's like I'll sit here, I wear this for every podcast without fail, because it's continuity, it's like a uniform. That way, whoever the guest is that is in the chair, if they dress in bright colours or anything like that, they're highlighted, and I just look boring. I'm okay with boring. I am 48. Anyway, Hemi, welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. Believe it or not, we're probably going to keep all that in too. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. It's awesome. Now, it was interesting. I hadn't remembered until you brought it up, but we've met before at Engine Room. I was with Workbridge and Crystal Foster. Brought a few of us down. You kind of took us around the grounds, and you got to show us all the things where all the computers are and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool to catch up in a non-work related setting.
It is lovely to have an informal conversation with you.
Yes, very informal, much like Inside Before.
I'd love to know how deep the Kelly clan name goes.
Oh, now. Are we related to Ned?
Yeah.
No. But that's some kind of... Okay. So here's the hard part. I'm adopted.
That is complicated.
It is. So Kelly by name, but not by blood. Mum and Dad went right back and got all his ancestry. He is from Ireland. And Mum and Dad have been there a few times, and they've got like the what do they call it? There's the clan. Oh my God, what is it called?
I don't know.
It's the shield.
Like
there we go.
Monogram or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Coat of arms. That's it. So there is actually a particular Kelly clan coat of arms as well, which is quite cool. But yeah. Now, you are a very interesting human being. Now, you may not think that.
I think I am.
Good. You should, because you are. Because your background into creativity is, I'm going to say, a little bit different from most people's. Because you were born in New Zealand.
Yep.
But spent the majority of your childhood in
Papua New Guinea. And the North Solomon Islands, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s it was more crazy.
Yeah,
because it
definitely.
was a long way to go.
Yeah.
It was three flights, if I remember, in my childhood.
Wow. 3. So what, you go New Zealand, Australia?
Yeah, you go Australia, Moresby, Papua New Guinea, and then over to the North Solomons, which would be like a small plane.
Wow.
Long flight.
Yeah, that's so crazy, man. And you were there for 15 years, is that about right?
We were there for a couple of years, then we came back, then we went back for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And then we moved somewhere else. They had a civil war on the island that we were on.
Papua New Guinea had a civil war while you were there.
We were in Bougainville, was a disputed territory.
So you were in Hamilton?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a metal joke. Bougainville, spelt differently. I am a father. I'm allowed to have dad jokes, and he's pissing himself with laughter, which is great. Okay, so you were living in Bougainville for a wee while, and then what you're saying is shit went sideways.
Oh yeah. It's sad. It actually is very sad to have your childhood ripped out from underneath you. They destroyed all the infrastructure on the island, all the airports, all the schools, everything, and we couldn't go back. And for 20 years, 200,000 people never went back.
200,000.
The largest copper mine in the southern hemisphere was the only work on the island.
Wow.
So it's still not really open as a nation. Yeah. And we came back. We went back.
Did you a couple of years, come back, another couple of years, come back?
Yep.
As someone growing up, that would have been unsettling in general, because you get
it starts off that way.
Yeah, okay.
But then it becomes I think I tracked it once. It was about 16 times changed schools.
16 times changing schools. Wow.
Yeah, 5, 6 in one school, and then 7, 8 back in New Zealand, and then 9, 10 somewhere else, and then
tough to keep friendships.
Yeah, prior to the internet.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Which was most of it.
Yeah.
It came back to Whangarei in 1993.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was the last time. And then my family came back and settled. And that's
it. That was like no more.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You are naturally quite a creative person, and you have some really interesting things on the pre-interview form that you've sent through to us. I'm just gonna read some of them off because I find them quite interesting. So you're still a DJ.
Yes.
Still a DJ, and you've been doing it for better part of 25 plus years?
No. When I came back, I got into it in the late 90s, and I became a full-time DJ for about 5 years.
Okay.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night every year. And then I went traveling, and then in the last 5 years I got back into it again.
Okay.
And now I sort of run a business that's primarily funded by DJing, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because you're also a multi-personal and you're doing multi-personal and career development study. Yep. You've done IT education, program management, but you're also doing scripts and symbols, a cross-cultural analysis. Now, so for someone who's so creative on this side, there's a lot of academia on the other side as well. So I guess I want to go right back, way back, which for you and me is not too long ago, if we're honest. When did you first discover that you had a creative expression? Because music's kind of one of those things. A lot of kids back in the late 70s, early 80s, mum and dad would have had like a big vinyl collection. And, there's a lot of music playing, and, it's like you listen to whatever they've got going on. Yep. Some of it you resonate with, some of it you don't, like Rod Stewart. That's where that was. Oh, sorry, that's my upbringing. So what was it like for you sort of growing up in the household?
Goodness. The neighbours got me into music.
The neighbours?
Yep. Yeah, the neighbours had a vinyl collection. My parents were into terrible music.
Such as? Let's have some examples.
Well, it's the kind of music you don't like in your childhood and you really grow into in your 30, 40 years later.
Is it what, Toto?
No, like Dolly Parton, country music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Little bit of Māori kind of drinking shed music, ten guitarsy type stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's a really broad question.
I know.
And I think like if I was to jump into the symbols work, where it is the act of creating a script is very creative in itself.
Yes.
But it's also fundamentally a principle-based framework for storing data.
Yeah.
So it has to be astutely managed in its design.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so I think it meets a lot of principles for creatives, but it also meets a lot of it has a. Sometimes I think creativity can be. I read some data today that showed how much money creatives make, and it's not enough.
No.
The latest data was so bad, and so I think that if you can apply those skills outside of creativity, there's potential for a better lifestyle to some extent.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't always. I'm curious as to. A lot of people get to express themselves more creatively before they have a family than they. My brother, for instance, was in a strong rock and roll band, and then when kids came, that was like, that's it. We've put the guitars down now.
I was the same. We've had a lot of guests on where they discover their creativity, and then they do it through primary school and intermediate and high school, and they get to high school, and then it almost hits a fork in the road scenario where they go, am I a poor artist?
Yeah.
Or do I earn money?
Yep.
So it's not uncommon. Not uncommon
yeah.
story at all. What sort of stuff did the neighbours have that sort of led you on your journey to discover music? Because as a DJ, I imagine that you have to be quite open and receptive to music in general. You can't be... Look, I'll be honest, a lot of metalheads are quite close-minded. That's how the community is. But as a DJ, you can, like, you have the opportunity to take different genres and, like, smash them together and create your own individual sound. So what was some of the I guess, the key artists that really stood out for you?
The ones that stood out are the ones that had those songs you can still listen to now from the early 80s, Dire Straits and things like that.
Oh, great band.
But I think when I put myself back into the early 80s, what it was the oral journey that it took you on. It wasn't even just the music. It wasn't the lyrical content. It was having sound in your ears, and probably the frequencies and things like that. And I think actually that was the real stimulus in DJing, was like having a really big speaker, like bigger than you've ever had in your house. And listening to frequencies and that was just took over my life. And when I was old enough to go, this is the direction I'm going. I'm me and the speaker, we're going to be mates for a while.
When did you first discover DJing?
Actually, we were I started I think I'm a collector.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that as a byproduct in before the internet, before file sharing and things.
Yeah, you'd have like vinyl cassettes, CDs and stuff like that. Yeah.
CDs, and then whoever got the most, they're the DJ.
Right. Okay.
Or whoever's got the most popular ones,
they're
the DJ, and then that person gets access to all the tools, so sound systems, microphones.
Right.
And then so it started in my school dances.
Oh,
So I
really?
was a school dance DJ, yeah.
The school dance. Anything memorable from the school dances?
Well, yeah, you know what it was.
Any interesting stories?
Yeah. It's worse than that. In Papua New Guinea,
Yeah.
we were under curfew for 3 years.
Okay.
So dawn to dusk, you can't leave your house.
Right. So when the sun sets, it's time to jet.
Yep.
Okay.
And so you have no social life. So the school dance was like once in a lifetime. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
And further to that, even when you're not under curfew, Papua New Guinea is not the most social of places. So Port Moresby's fourth most dangerous city in the world. Women don't walk around outside their homes. They don't go shopping on their own. They don't go to the post office on their own.
Holy shit.
So there's and 80% of we lived in a compound in Moresby with about 24 other families.
Okay.
And none of the other kids left the compound ever, except to go to school.
Okay, so by compound, are we talking...
We're talking like a block of homes and that have a big fence around
and
them
like
and a security
razor
guard.
wire
Yeah,
and
electric gate. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
if you're
intense.
lucky, some of the other kids would live on the same street as us in a house on their own. No other kids to play with, can't leave the home. And so we were kind of...
Holy shit.
Yeah, a lot of kids would never leave their own home unless they're going to school.
Yeah.
Or something. So the school dance was a big deal.
It's a huge deal. That's massive, man. I mean, that's all the kids getting together.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
Wow.
it was something else, man. Yeah, really was.
That's crazy. So take me through your first school dance. What's your set looking like? Who are you playing?
I think it was terrible, man.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I look back,
Look, I think if we're all honest, we all start off shit, and then we get better over time. I cringe looking at my first podcast because I was like, man, a lot of things have changed since then. Producer Andrew's nodding his head, agreeing with me. Shut up. I was always amazing. It always came out perfect.
there's a saying in the startup community, if you're not embarrassed of your first product, you're launching too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
kudos, bro.
Yeah, thank you. I feel I look back on that first podcast and I struggle to think who was more nervous, the guest or myself. And as the host, it's your job to make your guests feel comfortable. When you're sitting there going, you look like a bit of an idiot. So when was your first DJing gig?
1992, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah, it would have been about
so
14 or 15 years old.
What was popular back then?
UB40, Paul Abdul, CNC Music Factory.
Oh yes,
and actually, there was
Hammer?
Really segregated sectors. Yeah, Hammer was around then.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Nirvana was just coming in then.
That's right. Yeah, it 93 or 94?
Chili Peppers.
You had Nevermind, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah, man.
Pearl Jam's 10.
Yep, yeah.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Yep,
yeah,
yeah, those were the big ones.
That's
a
big
Terminator 2 came out there. Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Great.
Yeah, You Could Be Mine, Guns N' Roses. Man,
Yeah.
I remember watching that. Go, I have to see this movie.
It still holds the test of time, man.
It does.
It's the greatest.
It does. It does. So you're mixing up all of these different genres, kind of not knowing really what you're doing. You're going, this song will be cool after this song.
I think it's more of an extension of just like we actually took a stereo with us everywhere we went in those days.
Okay.
And we just played music all the time, and we didn't really care if the other kids don't like it.
Yeah.
And we still had the most music, so we won by default.
Yeah.
And then I started to kind of appreciate that you had to play to everybody else and all those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't until I got paid a few years later that I started to really double down on that. And,
Okay.
And now that's the bread and butter of the sector, and I do weddings and clubs and things like that now, and everything's really, really different, and it's really about reading the crowd. But
Yeah.
as a young person, it's more about young people are really connected to one another.
Yes.
Whereas nowadays, and I think music connects people. So if you go to a wedding and everyone's over 50, then you know what's going to connect them. It's going to be Fleetwood Mac or something like that.
Oh yeah, Doobie Brothers,
yeah,
Eagles.
Yeah, so it's really easy
Yeah.
once you're experienced to read that genre, and once you've got one, you're in.
Yeah.
Whereas we were actually into sort of the passion of music back then.
Yeah. Okay.
And I got into dancing, and we would choreograph dances, and we got some of somebody rang us one day and said, "Hey, can you bring your dance troupe to this event?" And we said, "Sure." And
you had a troupe.
Yeah, it was the hobby. You know, some kids played rugby.
Yeah.
We choreographed dances.
Dude, that's so cool.
It was cool. It was cool enough that somebody rang us and said, "We've got this artist, and he's recording a song, and we want to put you guys in the music video." And when we turned up there, they put us on the 13th story of a building on a helicopter pad. And with, helicopter pads don't have any sides on the building.
No.
So
high chance of death.
Yeah, no protection for a 14-year-old kid.
Oh shit, you're that young.
Yeah, there's
wow.
there's probably like 5 or 6 of us on this building with cameras and whatnot. And
this was in Papua New Guinea as well. Wow, okay.
And we didn't like the song the guy was singing, so we turned it off and put our own music on, danced our own music, and they filmed that and put it into the background of his video. That was like the state of affairs in that time.
Because I imagine it would, as long as it matched.
Yeah, somebody in editing synced it up.
Yeah, I know. Editors are amazing. I never take editors for granted at all.
And those things were a mystery in those times because it was so expensive.
Oh yeah, my God, because you're shooting on film.
Yeah,
it's not cheap, you know. It's not like, all right, take 64, here we go.
And they didn't have a music video show in Papua New Guinea at that time.
Oh wow!
So they played music videos that were popular as adverts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the song went to number 1 in the Papua New Guinea charts at the time when Michael Jackson was like selling the world over.
Yeah,
so we were outselling Michael Jackson at that time.
That's the dangerous period, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the black and white.
Yeah, man. Wow, and far out. Okay, so instead of commercials for Skippy Cornflakes and Wheat-Bix, it'd be like, here's Michael Jackson's Black and White, and here's...
Well, it would be the local songs. So if you so on the weekend, if you were watching a league game or something like that, you might see that video 4 or 5 times.
Oh wow!
And so everybody knew we were.
So you
on those music videos.
Quite young, you get a little bit of minor celebrity going on.
Oh man, we couldn't.
That guy.
We couldn't walk down the street.
What?
Kids would follow us down the street and sing the song. And because the song, I think it was the highest selling song in Papua New Guinea at the time. And the artist went on to be the first Papua New Guinean artist to tour outside of Papua New Guinea.
Oh wow!
And they put us on the album cover as the background dancers, and they named our group. And so it was kind of like being New Kids on the Block or something like that.
Yes, very much so.
And then the second album we did like 5 more videos, and
wow,
they all kind of were very popular. And then my parent, believe it or not, in Papua New Guinea, it's so isolated. My parents started this community called the Kiwi Club.
Okay, yep.
There's a lot of Kiwis up there.
Yeah, all the expats,
And they brought together this community once a year for a ball. And it was about $200 a ticket. And they brought, which was, in the 90s, was like $700 or something now.
That's a $1,000 ticket.
And they brought over, the first one they brought Howard Morrison.
Okay, yeah.
Who's got I think a Queen's medal. Then they brought John Rolls, the second one.
Oh wow!
And then the third one they brought Annie Crummer in the 90s, which she also had #1 songs in.
That would have been shit. 90s. She would have come out of Netherworld Dancing Toys at that moment, and it would have been around that era of when the Cat's been spayed.
Cat's Away.
Cat's Away. Oh, sorry, my bad. That was the the knockoff band afterwards.
Brutal.
Yeah. Oops.
Death metal's
sorry, Ms. Crummer.
Owns you.
Death metal has afflicted my memory, my recall at times. I apologise in advance. When the Cat's Away.
So we were around kind of creatives and performers and musicians.
Yeah.
I idolised them, and I idolised people that could mix music.
Yeah.
And create something out of something you're familiar with, and scratch on it and mix it with something else. I just couldn't comprehend how they're doing that.
Yeah.
And those performers could read the energy from us as kids that were performing as well.
Yeah.
And they asked me to dance, and I ended up dancing at one of those concerts.
Wow.
In front of like people that had paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
In black and white ties and things.
Yeah.
And that was when my parents got on board, and they were like, "We think this is going to be your career. We want to send you to, a dance school and all that kind of stuff."
So you actually really went for it?
Yeah, because I choreographed, I had to make all that stuff up on the spot and perform it in front of heaps of people. So I was pretty confident in those days of what I thought was entertaining.
So you were essentially not only a dancer, you're a lead dancer, you're the choreographer.
Yeah, keenest.
Yeah, most enthusiastic.
Yes.
Far out.
Yeah. And then we came home to New Zealand, which you did every year from Papua New Guinea.
Yep.
To kind of have a break.
Yeah.
And I crashed a car into a tree very fast.
Wow. Okay.
And,
was that from the massive royalties that you'd earned?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was really, wasn't it? Of course it was.
I framed. They gave me money
Yeah.
after that because I was with John Rolls. John Rolls hung out with Elvis Presley.
John Rolls
he
is
was
the man. Absolutely.
And so we framed the money that he gave me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't spend it on a car.
Okay.
But it was my first time driving a car, and I woke up in hospital. Short story.
Wow.
Hospital, yeah. Broken knee, broken leg, broken sternum.
Shit.
So that was the end of that idea.
Yeah.
Dancer, and now I'm a DJ, man.
Yeah, well, but it's interesting, like, because you've gone from being what? Yeah. So what I was going to say is you've gone from being in the front, being the show pony, if you will.
Yes.
Where all eyes are on you. And I was going to say to being in the background, but DJs nowadays aren't in the background. You look at the DJ like David Guetta, Pitbull, all of those sorts of guys that are actually, they are the star.
Yeah, I think that there's still, the most successful DJs currently are all producers.
Yes. I think it's having that combination, that ability to get out and do it, but also produce and create music as well.
Well, I think the accessibility of music today, it's free. Equipment's free. It's so much cheaper. The barrier for entry is lower.
Yeah.
So if you can read a crowd and play music to a crowd, then you're a DJ. But a producer can understand music structure, and I think that's what sets apart a really great DJ from, like, I don't know if I'd call that a DJ, because a DJ is somebody that plays music to the crowd, whereas a performer is someone plays, the crowd goes to see their music.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but in terms of what you're saying, that performance element, I think as I got older, I shied away from that a little bit more, and also, when I went to Dunedin, having said that, I went to Dunedin with my girlfriend at the time for university.
Yeah.
And you had to be 21 to drink in pubs back then.
Yes.
So we used to go to the pub at like 4 PM when there was no security on and order some chips.
Yeah.
So that you could get in before the security came on 5 hours later, and you were already inside the venue, right?
Yeah.
And you could stay there for the rest of the night and get in and nominate someone who looked the oldest to go and buy the beers at the bar all the time.
Yeah.
And I was still in that mindset of like trying to dance. And I remember going up when the DJ came on, and they were trying to play like Oasis and real good garden bar background music.
Yep.
And I was like, play this dance song, play this, And he said, if I play it, you got to dance, because I look like an idiot. There's no one here wants to dance except for you.
Yeah.
So he played it, and I danced, and some other guy got up, and this was back in the day when people would dance, and this guy got up and started kind of dancing, kind of with me, against me.
Yeah.
And we kind of kept stepping it up in like a challenge, and I ended up doing a forward flip on the dance floor. And this guy came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey man, you want a job?" And I said, "Doing what?" And he said, "DJing in here." And I said, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "Come in on the weekend, play some songs." And that was it. So my first DJing job was at a real rugby pub in Dunedin that fitted about 800 people a night into it. And you're in the deep end straight away, trying to figure out, oh my God, what are these people that are 3 or 4 or 5 years older than me want to hear? I was played every Friday and Saturday for the next couple of years, and became a full-time DJ. And dancing just fell by the wayside. It just never, it fell out of vogue. Like it went from being like the hammer kind of thing in the front, Vanilla Icy type stuff, to the background dancers, to you had to be a singer dancer in the sort of pop bands like Backstreet Boys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the kind of Spice Girls came along where they were just popular, but they couldn't really dance.
Yeah.
And then it just ended. And here we are.
The Northland Artists Conversation is proud to support Te Kōwhai Print Trust. Te Kōwhai Print Trust are an amazing organisation that are located on Selwyn Ave in Whangarei. Te Kōwhai Print Trust do such amazing things as being a workshop and educational facility in fine art printmaking, as well as keeping a nationally significant historical archive of fine art prints. These guys are absolutely amazing. I had a chance to meet up with them last year, and the work they do is so incredibly cool. It's just amazing the types of things you can do, from like screen printing to lithography. Absolutely unreal, and it's so much fun as well. So Northland Artists Conversation are incredibly proud to support Te Kōwhai Print Trust. You're in Dunedin, you've had this epic dance-off with this dude, clearly crushed it by pulling was it the front or the back flip, and then delivered the middle finger?
Yeah, it was the front flip.
Of course it was a bloody front flip. Yeah. And then you get a job DJing, and that I'm guessing that's sort of when you pick up again. And then do you start running with that career again, because you were doing it a little bit in high school.
Yeah.
Doing your mixtapes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is now, if we jump forward 30 years,
sure, why not?
I'm working in a space where I'm connecting young people with their careers.
Right. Yep.
So I've thought about this a lot.
Okay. Share it.
Well, some of it's reflective, and other parts of it are like there's definitely gaps in the system.
Yeah.
One of those things being that creatives obviously don't make enough money.
Never will.
And then there's all the parts of DJing that can be good and bad as a performer or as an artist, or what musicians tend to be. This is my music and this is my performance, and sometimes those things, they don't merge well.
No.
When you get into the stage, the audience wants you to be somebody else, or they want you to hear that song all the time. So all those things happen, and you have to, when you're trying to run a business instead of have a hobby or just doing it because you're passionate and young, all those things come down bearing on you when you've invested your money and your time into the business. I'm just running with it in those times. It was great. I couldn't believe it. I'm DJing. There's people queued up for like an hour to come inside this pub. I thought I walked past the queue and just walked straight in. I thought I was great. I loved it.
But ego caressing?
Yeah, I think that I was susceptible to that as a young kid. Sure. It took a long time to sort of iron that out.
Yep.
And I see a lot of young kids in the scene like that, where they're really still in that little self phase.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've had a wide range of artists on here. We've had Anusta, who is a electronic artist. He writes his own beats and stuff like that, and he puts like soulful hip hop lyrics over the top of it. But then we've had guys that have done like your classic rock stuff. We've had acoustic artists as well. Now it's funny that I 100% agree with you. Before I did the death metal thing, I was in like a bit of a rock/metal band, and I was the guitarist, and I remember, yes, you can be it's very easy to get drawn to that. Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh yeah, thanks. Of course. I'm the shit. And it's not until you kind of, you almost have to have a few knocks for that to, get, it's not beaten out of you, and it's not tall poppy syndrome either, but you do need to be very mindful that when you get an ego that's bigger than your achievements.
Yes.
That's a fair...
Yeah, absolutely.
Because by the time I was doing the death metal thing, I would... So, I don't know, it was really weird for me. I would go to the venue, sit in the back, watch everyone, go up on stage, help my drummer load his things on there, and everyone would be like, oh, who's that guy? Oh, he's just obviously someone that's helping out. I'd pick up a microphone, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, turn around and just let out this god-awful demon growl, and everyone was like, what the... And it would be like, I would then hop off the stage and go back to my corner. And people would be like, oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate your compliments. It's very nice of you. Please make sure to check out the other artists that are playing tonight as well. It got to a point where I was in Wendy's with Wendy's in Te Aratu. And I was with my son's mum and my son and my she was my stepdaughter, and these two kids came up to me, they're like, "Bro, are you that singer from Fractured?" I was like, "Oh yeah, hey guys, how are you?" "Bro, you're mean." I was like, "Oh, yeah, thanks, really appreciate it, dude. Oh man, can you sign?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I don't have a pen. Would you like me to sign something?" "Yeah, bro, just sign this napkin." It's like, okay, cool. You guys have a great night. Thanks very much. And I remember, it was like this. I'm a dude in his 30s writing angry music that teenagers connect with. What? It's such a weird feeling. But had I been younger, I probably would have been like, yeah, man, I'm the shit. So with age comes wisdom.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're in Dunedin, you're picking up your DJing stuff. Where do you sort of progress from that point onwards? Do you stay in the lifestyle, or do you kind of move in and out of it?
I followed my nose, and I got into house music in the late 90s.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Like 97.
Yeah.
And started, just reading about clubs in the UK and things like that. Couldn't believe it.
It's such a big scene over there.
It was phenomenal, and we were actually pushing the boundaries here in New Zealand. I remember playing 4 to the floor music, doof doof doof, and people was like, "What is this?" They were like, "This is not," it was, and I felt like in hindsight it was like people who played rock and roll, why are you playing that music, in the 50s or something like that. Whereas now it's like, and I think that probably happens in every era,
Oh yeah. I sent a meme to producer Andrew today, which was kids that listen to 90s hip hop and they have big brain, and then it's in the meme is kids that listen to modern hip hop and it's like some dude that's got like a slouched face. He's putting a round thing in a triangular hole. He's like, and it was just like, okay, yeah, look, I'm sure I've been that person, but a few years ago, where you just get a little bit elitist about things like, what's that shit? That's not real music.
Yeah. I think that's a really tough trap. As an older statesman in the scene, if you went back into the death metal scene now, you would have so much to say about stuff, and
I would, which is why I'm not.
and
I'll be an opinionated old man.
The only reason I'm probably DJing is I don't have any children.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I'm finding that I can't get to sleep on a Saturday night till 6 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday.
Wow, yeah.
And that sleep pattern's gone for 4 days.
Yeah.
And then it, try to reset it for day job type work, and and then you're back in the scene again on the weekend. It's kind of,
because you've been doing that for a while, because you have the day job that pays the bills, that affords you the luxury to be able to go out and do the weekend job.
It was that way up until about this year. And
just this year?
Yeah. Then it was
like
the DJing's paying for everything at the moment.
Far out. Congratulations, man! That's so cool.
Thank you. I had to sell my soul a bit. I do weddings and things like that now. But what I've found is
pays the bills.
Yeah, it's not just that. That the mindset of getting into helping other people enjoy themselves. Yeah, you have to really put yourself aside. Yeah, and I find that there's 2 ways to do that. One is just voyeur and just watch it. Yeah, and the other part is to get in on the act. Right. Yeah. And that's the most fun. I did the Northern Club last weekend. Okay. That's over 70s. It's the only venue I've been in the last month where I'm not the oldest person in the venue. I'm the youngest person in the venue. Wow. And, the big hits are like 50s and 60s songs. And when you play them, people are rock and rolling. And it's so cool. And it's it is. Watching people go, oh my God, I know, it's like they come alive. They do. And you're really giving somebody something. Yeah. And you're bringing all that nostalgia back. That, no, because you'd be like, man,
Screw all that rock shit.
So I think DJing's really, in that capacity, is about joy.
Yeah.
And providing other people joy.
It's really about service as well, isn't it? Because
Sure.
you're of service to the audience.
I think that part's obvious because you've got to turn up and be like, hello. You're doing all the service stuff that you do in other industries.
Yeah.
But the joy part is a little bit, because that's your job.
Yeah.
If you get that wrong, people just go with it, but it's not a great event. And it's really easy to have the wrong energy. You're too tired, or you're just not in the pocket, as they say.
Yeah.
And if you stuff that up, it's.
Have you ever had those shows?
I think I'd be lying if I said I hadn't.
Yeah.
And I think that they're part of the pick yourself up, dust yourself off stuff.
Yeah.
And get back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I'd have to say that the more often you play. Mm-hmm. Like if you play every Friday, Saturday night, or every week, it's easier.
Yeah.
If you're playing every second week and it's a different crowd, then you don't play to that. If you're playing EDM this week and then you're playing hip hop next week and then you're playing 50s the week after.
Yeah.
You're not practicing that stuff all the time.
Yeah, because
harder.
Yeah, I imagine like playing guitar or riding a bike. It's a skill that you need to keep exercised.
Yeah, I think if you were freestyling something as a guitarist. So you're sitting there, me and you having a jam, and I'm like, oh, can you play 660? And you're like, yeah, man, that's great. We're trying to find that bond that connects us so that we can be creative together.
Absolutely.
But that freestyling element where it moves from something to something to something so that we get a creative jam going on.
Yep.
And we're both passionate about that. That's what the driver that has to be there. Otherwise, one person, and then you've got all the technical elements that bring a production together. Yeah. And sometimes performers are not cognizant of all those things. Yeah. I did a show the other weekend I went to, it was with, but some of those elements were not tight in the production, so some of the sound's not great, or people are not cognizant enough. They're focused really minutely on a particular aspect that they're great at.
And one of the big overarching sort of things that has been a bit of a common theme with creatives is they understand the creative side, but the business side can often fall behind as well.
It's tough, man. Yeah,
because it's creativity meets commerce.
Yeah,
and they don't really go together, but they have to.
Yeah, I think that I mentioned off camera earlier that one of my one of my jobs in the last couple of years was a facilitator for a business startup program.
Yes, yeah.
And so in that model, we'd come into a community for 10 days, and day one would be like, what's your idea and what's stopping you from having a crack at it?
Right.
And by day 3, you've built a website for it, and the following week you've sold something.
Yeah.
So you've got to get people to an event that will buy something. So you've figured out how to price it, pitch it, sell it.
Yeah.
And by the end of the week, you can describe it in an elevator pitch. And teaching other people how to, there's a saying, I think it's something like those that can do and those that can't teach.
Those that can't do teach, yeah.
It's so much easier to guide somebody else. And particularly I've found as an artist, a lot of business people around me are like, you should be doing this, you could be doing this.
Yeah.
But it's really quite difficult to do it as the artist and the seller or the business manager. Yeah. Those elements are kind of,
Yeah, you've got to walk a balance because essentially, and I guess this is kind of how I've sort of viewed things in the last, 15 years, is you are a brand. Much like the podcast itself is a brand, and because I am the host, I am a representative of the brand.
Yeah.
You are DJ Hemi Ruka?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the trick is trying to figure out who you are on the journey, I think.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't. I was intentional about using my Māori name because I don't come across visually as Māori. So I wanted to project that.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that's for the in the DJ sector. I'm not sure that it really matters. I'm not playing Māori music. I mean, I do play to a lot of Māori audiences.
I don't know if it's relevant. I mean, what the hell is a Skrillex?
Well, yeah, I think it was a hangover from having to reconnect with my Māori culture, with not just for myself, but with all the people that I was already connected to.
Okay.
So there was a long period, and I think that's a journey that for myself as a creative, is like a spectre in my life, so to speak. It dribbles into every part of my life.
Yeah.
It's constantly sort of like a banging on the door of responsibility. And then as a creative or a dynamic, in your thinking, you're trying to go, well, okay, if I've got to have to do these things to be who I am or to help my family or something like that, how do I incorporate them into my creative endeavors?
Yeah.
Or how do I make these more fun or more useful or not a side hobby or more relevant or more engaging or all those kind of things. So one of those things was actually my father was a boxer.
Oh, okay, right.
And he, in the 70s and the 60s, Muhammad Ali was like the king of the world.
He was.
And so my father named me Clay.
Really?
Yeah, and my brother, he named Cassius.
That's amazing, though.
Which is that? For those listeners, it's obviously Muhammad Ali's
Cassius
birth name.
Clay, yeah.
But in his formative years, he referred to it as his slave name.
Yes.
And when I was born, my family gave me two Māori names. My surname is Māori.
Yep.
And my name Hemi is Māori name.
Okay.
But in the 70s, if you rang up someone and said your name was Hemi Ruka, you wouldn't get a job or a flat.
Yeah.
So they gave me a European name
Yep.
on top of that. And so I used that name in my childhood. And then as I was able, as the world became progressive, I was able to reclaim that Māori name. So there was the hangover that came into
But that's
DJing.
a great choice of word, though, reclaim. I like that a lot. I think that's a very good choice of word because, as you said, you were given two names. You were given your European name and your Māori name.
Yeah.
And look, as you know, we're similar of age, so I don't think I'm going to be too out of step in saying this. They were different times when we went to primary school and intermediate and high school. I'd say probably maybe a tad more racist.
Yeah.
Just a tad, though.
Yeah.
For people that know me I'm being sarcastic as shit right now, but but there's a lot more acceptance nowadays,
yes,
and I celebrate that, and I think that's important. And if that is something that you feel you need to connect with, then why not? Who the hell am I to sit here and go, no, you're wrong. You are not Hemi, you are Clay.
Well,
but I identify as Hemi. I identify as a yellow beetle. But no, because that's part of your birthright and your heritage, which will stream back years and years and decades.
Yeah.
So, 100% celebrate. I mean, producer Andrew celebrates his Māori name as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. And, those sorts of things I think are fundamentally very cool. I am a white man from Ireland. I don't have a lot of heritage apart from my whiteness.
Well,
but that's okay.
Well, one of the things I noticed, like I mentioned, I played to an over 70s audience last weekend.
Yes.
One of the things that I noticed in that was the community at that age is from that pre
that
kind of era.
Those generations
were
back.
Different, yeah. And they're connected in a different way.
Yes.
Than people from our era.
Yeah.
And I think, but we were also a part of that era where we connected. We had no Māori language. We had no Māori TV, no Māori radio.
No.
And now we have all these things and everything's named Māori. All the buildings and the businesses and the services and whatnot. But we have this common experience.
Yes.
30 years ago.
We do.
Where we just connected.
Yep.
And people... When you can move to a place of power, say as a Māori person,
yes,
you can actually start to reclaim those connections
absolutely
that we had. And so actually now that everything's kind of getting better and we're on the same page,
100%, we
can still go back to and be connected to death metal together.
Absolutely.
Which we were in the 90s, right?
yes, we were. And the cool thing is there's a lot more acceptance now as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you were to go out as DJ Hemi 30 years ago...
Yeah.
It would have been less successful.
Yeah, possibly. I obviously didn't want to identify even as Hemi. It was that bad.
So what was your DJ name back then?
Well, it was Clay. And I got that by default because somebody put it in the newspaper when I was working somewhere. They were like, what are we going to call him? We need to put the DJ. And they just said, his name's Clay. So we'll call him DJ Clay, and it's stuck.
Wow.
And so people now still call me DJ Clay. Yeah.
Far out.
And there's a part of me now that I'm happy being Hemi.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that. Clay's way cooler as a DJ name. I'm only using Hemi because I wanted to, and because looking non-Māori, a lot of Māori people who are still in a state where it's not going great for them, they might look through me and find that they don't want to connect with me. And in a DJ space, unless I'm being really overt about my cultural stance, so some of those factors play into the branding.
The brand.
Yeah.
The brand. It's really interesting. For me, that's a really fascinating sort of way of looking at things as well. And I guess that was why I sort of asked the branding question, because, you're very much, you've had one identity, and then you've been able to successfully, might I add, because you're able to do it full time, you've been able to successfully transition into this alternate brand as well, which has proven to be equally, if not more, successful.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because you're doing it full time. You're living every creative's dream. For those of us that are creative but have to hold down the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job, you're doing it full time.
Yeah, it's not a bag of roses.
No, of course not.
Well, I mean, let's say
you're self-employed.
Yeah, and yes, that's right. But let's also say that you didn't have children.
Well,
and someone just went to you, man, you're so into that death metal. Why don't you just resurrect that band?
Could have gone to Canada.
And you could have. So without those responsibilities, there's nothing to hold you back.
Yeah,
And you would find the rubber would hit the road after 3 years of being a death metal singer. Either your voice goes, or your band goes, or your van goes, or
my knees get shot.
Audience goes.
They are now.
Yeah. Or you have to move to Canada where the audience is still loving death metal. Or, all of those things are coming into the frame.
Absolutely.
As a DJ. But one of the main vehicles too is the price of everything's come down with the technology in the DJ sector.
Yeah,
it's so much easier to get into DJing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that will happen in death metal.
I was going to say, do you find it a lot more competitive nowadays?
I think there's a lot of service offerings that are basic.
Yeah, okay.
It's because the barrier to entry is low. So you could jump in, you don't have to be able to play all the chords. You can just play the song. Yeah. And so there's a lot of noise in the sector. Yeah.
I mean, I think how I look at it from as an outsider looking at how you are and how you've set it up is you've spent years going through and establishing this brand. So now when you get these new people coming in that are like, I'll do it for a third of the price. Yeah. But it's like, okay, cool. Yep, you can either take the quality, well-established option that will give you a premium service versus, well, here's the entry-level price point. And the old saying of you get what you pay for. Now, that's not to disparage on anyone, that might not run out and spend $15,000, $20,000 on like DJ gear or anything like that. But as you said, it's also experience and being able to read a room, the environment, the crowd. Yeah. Or it's almost like a living organism, and you have to be able to read it well, because if you don't, you don't work.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, and there's a ton of other factors like council permissions, violence in clubs. There's you name it. There's lots. Lots, and then your own factors coming in terms of like, what is it that I want to deliver as an artist, and you make some compromises, but I think as DJs are reasonably versatile. Yes. And like myself, I've got a love for music. So and I think the appreciation for music can bring people together. Yeah. But I have to say that the prime directive for it is when you're in the sweet spot as a performer or as a musician or as a DJ or an artist, you know it, the audience knows it. Yeah. And everything else dissipates. The money you're getting paid, the bar that you're working in, the venue that you're at, all your problems disappear, and you're just in that sweet spot
Yeah. And it's interesting because you said it, and in my head I went, he's just gone right back. Your love of music, and that's gone right back to when you discovered your neighbour's collection. That's where the love of music comes from, and you've still got it.
I don't know. I don't know what the prime directive there is, because that neighbour, like, I think it's more like, because the part of it is attention, right?
Yep.
Because music has changed in our era now, where the formula for music with 3 minutes, 2 verses, 3 verses, all those structures. We're now competing with technology for that audience, and a prime example of that is you can play a song at a wedding, and the crowd goes nuts. Everybody knows the song, but they don't know the second verse.
They might know the chorus. They might know the intro melody. Everyone can sing Aha's Take on Me, that opening melody, and then it's like, I don't know, to say I'll say it, take on, and that's
and so really what we're looking at is energy.
Yes.
And I think that raw energy that you have in death metal, and then the storytelling that you have in rock and roll, and then you have dancing.
Yeah.
So that moves back to the audience as opposed to the performer or the storyteller. Yeah. And so all of those factors are kind of across those things. And I think the really interesting thing that's occurred in the creative era of DJing is AI. So artificial intelligence has come to DJing in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's so great. So in regards to you want to play that Take On Me song, you're going to play your intro, your drum intro, all the parts of that song.
Yeah.
But with the AI capability, by the time the audience is starting to, like, we don't know the words, and looking around and they're not all dancing together anymore.
Yeah.
You can turn the vocal off, or take the drums out, or take the bass out in a live performance. And you can read the key of the song because the software is telling you what it is.
Yeah.
You can read the BPM of the song. The software is telling you what it is. And the software will match up the BPM with the next song just by itself. So you can transition as soon as you see that energy waning, and you know when it's going to wane anyway. You can transition to that next song, and then so that's you're building your structure, your performance around.
I hadn't even thought of it like that.
It's really exciting. So I can grab any of your old tracks and just go, hey, the bass line was the best part of the song. I had to tell you, that drum was ruining the song.
The bass part was the best line of a lot of our songs as well. He was a talented bass player. Hemi, thank you so much for coming in. This has been so good for me because it's another muso that I sort of get to bounce off as well. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. This has been amazingly cool. We would love to have you back on at some stage if you'd be interested.
Of course, that'd be awesome.
Very cool, man. Thank you very much for coming in.
Cheers. Thank you very much, everybody.
So there we go, everyone. Hemi Ruka, DJ Hemi, if you will. Really cool dude. Holy cow, 15 years in and out of Papua New Guinea. What the hell? And as a kid, he suddenly having to flee a country. Why? Because there's internal war going on. I can safely say he's the first guest that's ever happened to. But yeah, absolutely mind-blowing. Super cool guy, just a massive amount of creativity as well. Interesting that he was like a DJ, and then he was in a video as a dancer and choreographer. The goal is to see if we can find that video. So we do know a few things. Number one, it's a Papua New Guinean artist. Number two, it was the most successful Papua New Guinean artist because they became popular outside of Papua New Guinea. I believe they toured outside as well. That's what he said. And number three, shot on the 13th floor of a building on a helicopter pad. So if anyone's out there watching or listening and you guys can find that video, please feel free to share it with the Northland Artists Conversation on our Facebook page. That would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to go back to my wide. Hemi had so many just amazing stories, absolutely amazing stories. He talked about the success he was having as a kid, DJing, having his own dance troupe, and essentially being the lead dancer and choreographer, through to a horrific car accident, and then picking himself back up and, moving back into the DJ world where he was now successful, and he is able to do that as a full-time job, which is cool, Mad respect, absolutely mad respect, because I think when you get to that stage, it's like that next level. Like, we do this podcast because we love doing it. We love talking with people. We love finding out about everyone's journey and the different creative expressions that they have. But we all work full-time jobs. That's the reality of it. I'm sure I'll speak for myself on this one, producer Andrew. But if I had the option to be able to do this full-time and get paid for it, I would 100% do that. And producer Andrew is nodding his head as well. I think I can safely say that we would all do that if possible. So he's out there, he's doing it, self-employed as a DJ. He talks about the highs and the lows of what it means for him, but ultimately it's about the music, it's about the connection, and it's about the people. So yeah, man, very, very cool. So where can everyone find out a bit more about the podcast? If you're watching or listening, thank you very much. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for our videos, all Northland Artists Conversation. For the audio, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Again, Northland Artists Conversation. And if you are a creative, or if you know someone who is creative, and you think they would be a great addition to our podcast, and we get them in the chair, that would be amazing. What you can do is you can email us, hello@northlandartistsconversation.co.nz. Super simple. I promise you it's all done that way for a reason. And if you want to support us, if you're like, hey, these guys do something really cool, they've been doing it for a year and they're still going strong, thank you very much. Firstly, we really appreciate it. Secondly, you can support us by going to our Patreon page. Now, on our Patreon page, we have two tiers. We have our first tier, which is $5 a month, and that's just it's a very small donation. We've called it a cup of coffee because it's about what a cup of coffee costs, and it's just a way of saying, hey, look, I really like what you guys are doing. Keep it up. That's wicked. Second tier we have is a Coffee Addict. Now that's $20 a month, but that gives you two extra bonuses. First one you'll get your name as a shout out on the podcast. Second one you get to find out in advance who the guests are coming up, and if you want to ask a question, you email it through. I will sit down and I will ask the guest the question. I think unless it's something really bad, like maybe if it's not really topical.
I guess it's lucky Tim Bell isn't.
Yeah, if Tim Bell, for example, was to fire us a question, I might question it. Tim, I love you. You're amazing. I will be getting you back in this chair at a later stage, so don't take this personally. I know you won't, but you're a good guy. So anyway, I digress. Patreon. So there's two ways you can find us. You can go to Google, type in Patreon. That's Patreon. Top right-hand corner. Simply search Northland Artists Conversation. Create an account, log in, pick your tier. Bob's your uncle. Nice and easy. Second way you can go is www.patreon.com/Northland Artists Conversation. Top right-hand corner again, follow all that sort of stuff. Good to go. I'm going to shout out our three supporters at the moment. Lauren Roach, fantastic author. Such a pleasure to have her sit down on the podcast chair and to be able to work with her outside that as well. We got to do a cool little event where essentially I did a live podcast with her for a launch of her book, which was it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing that again, Lauren. Second one is Michael Boda. Michael's working on some really good stuff at the moment. Currently doing a crowdfunding campaign for his second horror anthology book. So have a look at it. Really, really cool. Last and not least, Maggie Coco, the wonderfully effervescent, super talented Maggie Coco. Probably busy touring somewhere because she is a very, very busy lady. So good for you. Thank you to all three of you for supporting us. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to go to my wide camera. It's been an interesting time. I say that very dramatically. We're in the middle of winter. Though it's felt like winter since the 1st of January. A lot of rain, bugger all sun, and now we have the cold and the short days. So you know what that means? That means it's going to get longer days coming through soon. So happy days. Really, really stoked that that's coming. Some really wicked guests coming up. Managed to secure a very special guest as well, and it was someone that wasn't even on our radar, just happened to be coming into the region, and I was like, I would love to get you on the podcast. And they were like, okay. It really was that easy. So it was like, if you guys can make it work, I'll do it. I was like, yes, please. That would be great. So please keep an eye out on that. We've got a ton of more local artists coming through. We've got some wicked people. I think we've got a comedian. We've got some just creatives across the board. It's super cool. And we're actually going to start getting some of our guests that we've had on before, because some of them have had amazing changes to their creative output. What we talked with them about the first time is now completely different. So keep that in mind, guys. And on that high note, my name is Mark Kelly. Behind the computer is Andrew McKenzie. At home editing is a little hard out is Rocky Steventon and Marino Begman, who's doing all the comms and punching out all the emails. Thank you so much for tuning into the Northland Artists Conversation. We will see you guys real soon.